reporting now?
Okay, I'm with Ezra Lavant, who's the publisher of Rebel News, without whom we would not be here in court today for this hearing about Tommy Robinson's treatment in prison, solitary confinement treatment in prison, and whether it accords with justice, which I think we both agree it does not. Ezra has been in charge of really got the whole legal proceedings going for Tommy. I don't know what would have happened without Ezra, whether there would be any such defence or even challenging of the courts, of the sentencing of Tommy without him. So in Britain, we're very grateful.
Well, thank you for saying that. I don't want to contradict you, but I think you're overstating my role. I mean, I was involved, but I was not the essential mover. But thank you for your kind words.
And so today, can you just say why were we here? What were you trying to establish today?
Sure. Well, Tommy is in an extreme situation where every day counts. However, the court system moves very slowly. To get a trial takes months, sometimes even years. So today's hearing was to see if the courts would agree to hear the substantive case of Tommy's prison treatment on an expedited or emergency basis. So this judge, after listening for several hours, said that tomorrow he will give a ruling on how quickly Tommy's challenge to his prison treatment will happen. If I had to guess, I think the judge will lean towards having it sooner rather than later. Remember, it's not the same as issuing a ruling on the substance of it.
No.
So Tommy will still have to prove that the way he's being treated is illegal. But this judge will determine how quickly that happens.
Right, and so we might have to wait another month to go by before that happens, or indeed the judge may not rule that, may say there's no case to be heard, or no judicial review to happen.
I think Tommy has the right to a judicial review.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert on British civil procedure, but I think he has the right to that review. Whether or not it happens quickly is what's at stake. And really, that's an easy call for a judge to make. What's the cost of it other than moving around some scheduling? The difficult job will be ruling on the substance. But what was interesting today is that there's a little bit of drama, which is Tommy objected to something that the government's lawyer was saying. He did this by waving in the camera from the prison link. The judge noticed that and said, okay, it looks like Tommy has something to say. Let's have a half-hour break so Tommy can confer with his lawyer. So that happened, but in the middle of that phone call, the prison cut off the call, which is a shocking thing to do, but it sort of proves the point of everything that Tommy's lawyer was saying, which is the prison is abusive, it's whimsical, it's capricious, it's unreliable, it's untrustworthy, and the judge had this happen to him. So the judge angrily instructed the government lawyer to ensure that Tommy had a chance to confer with his lawyer without interruption. So that took more than an hour. That's why the judge will not issue his ruling until tomorrow, because the capricious, unreliable, abusive governor of HMP Woodhill thought she'd mess around. But as the Brits would say, QED. Doesn't that prove everything?
It was particularly ironic because this came at the moment that the government's council had been listing all Tommy's wonderful prisoners, like being allowed to be locked in a gym. Well, he didn't say locked in a gym for an hour a week or whatever it was. And he'd listed all these prisoners. But when it came to the fact of whether Tommy could even get the attention of a prison guard as he sat in a small cell, to say that the judge had said he could call his solicitor, he couldn't even get the attention of the guard. And then after that, as you say, when he got the call was cut off. So it was amusing if you have a sort of satirical sense about it.
There are a number of things that I myself knew were false. For example, visits. The prison governor, her name is Nicola Marfley, very abusive woman, would grant someone a visit and then the last minute yank it away from Tommy like a taunt or a tease. And she's done this repeatedly. I know because she's done it to me. She's cut off Tommy's phoning privileges, including his own son. So I think the judge is a bit of a sadistic woman. And I say that, I mean, I meant to say the
Nicola
warden.
Marfley.
Sorry, forgive me, I didn't mean to say the judge.
No, it's okay.
Excuse me, the prison governor.
Yes.
Sorry, I had no sleep last night.
No.
I got on the plane yesterday in Canada. Had a few winks on the plane, and so forgive me. I messed up my words there. No, the prison warden, the prison governor.
Yes.
And whimsical, capricious, highly political. In fact, in one letter to Tommy's solicitor, Nicola Marfley said that it was because of Tommy's politics that he had to be segregated.
She agreed this, yes.
And let me say something, speaking as a foreigner. Because sometimes you're so used to something that you no longer realize, yeah, that's right. And if I may, it was accepted as normal by both the government lawyer and Tommy's lawyer and the judge and everyone in the room that prisons are lawless, violent place run by the gangs. And this was just accepted as a reason why Tommy had to be segregated, because the prison was in no position to govern itself.
But not in reverse. Nobody, it was said that he might radicalise other prisoners. In fact, we know radicalisation is happening across British prisons the whole time.
And you know,
it was deeply ironic.
In Canada, we call the boss of a prison, we call that typically a prison warden. Here you call it a governor, but that's sort of Orwellian, because Nicola Marfley is not governing.
It's more like Agatha Christie. Do you remember the great Agatha Christie novel about the cruel wardens?
The gangs are governing the prison.
Oh, the gangs.
Yeah, and I mean, that's obvious. Who is setting the policy at HMP Woodhill? The gangs. That's what's making the decision to put Tommy in segregation, because they control the prison, not Nicola Marfley. It's stunning to me, and I don't know if you still see that.
No.
Because everyone in the courtroom seemed to find that normal. It's not normal.
No, I certainly noticed the thing about the people who are at risk of being radicalised are not people Tommy might meet. The people are the poor buggers who swift justice happened to after the Southport riots.
You know, there's one more thing I'll say, and then I got to run. Tommy knew one other prisoner at Woodhill.
Yeah, I noticed you said he was Muslim.
And
no, somebody said he was Muslim.
Well, Tommy's lawyer, Alistair Williamson, said it was a childhood friend of Tommy's who happened to be a Muslim man. And Tommy wanted to meet with him for old time's sake. I mean, I can imagine a buddy he hasn't seen in 20 or 30 years. And the judge forbade it. And I just thought that was very interesting. First of all, it shatters some stereotypes about Tommy.
It does indeed.
And it shows the cruelty and sadistic nature of the prison governor.
The other very Orwellian feature of it I noticed was the point that he made to his counsel when we were adjourned, that Tommy made, is he doesn't know who, he has to choose who the prisoner is that he wants to associate with. He doesn't know who the prisoners are. So how can he choose to apply to meet with somebody who he doesn't know exists or not? And this is another cruelty. That was deeply Orwellian to me.
The whole thing was very strange, but it's great to...
Thank you so much,
my
Ezra.
pleasure.
And we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Right on. Nice to see you.
For the work.
Thanks, everybody.